Dr. Rowley's Convenient Amnesia, an editorial by Professor Wall Street. In a stunning display of political revisionism, former Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley recently took to Facebook to claim he was held to a higher standard as Prime Minister and never said anything nearly as offensive and arrogant as what Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar has recently stated. This breathtaking assertion requires either a complete erasure of documented history or a concerning case of selective memory that borders on clinical amnesia and dementia. As my mother-in-law wisely told me 36 years ago, a liar has no memory. Dr. Rowley's claims are not just false. They represent a dangerous rewriting of our nation's political history that every citizen who values truth must challenge. The arrogance of manufactured victimhood. Let us first address the sheer arrogance embedded in Dr. Rowley's Facebook post. He positions himself as a paragon of propriety who was somehow uniquely held accountable for his words and actions. He writes with the smugness of someone who believes the public has forgotten his extensive record of offensive, divisive, and often cruel statements. This is not confidence. It is delusion dressed up as moral superiority. More troubling still is his attempt to delegitimize the government's crime-fighting legislation by invoking fears of divisive politics and unsupervised authority. Coming from a man who presided over one of the most divisive and unaccountable administrations in Trinidad and Tobago's history, this rings not just hollow, but hypocritical, to the point of absurdity. Let me be clear. Dr. Rowley's record is one of consistent offensiveness that far exceeds anything Prime Minister Persad-Bissessar has said. Here are 10 documented reasons why his latest claims are pure delusion. 1. The she-cat insult, institutionalized misogyny. Dr. Rowley infamously referred to then opposition leader Kamla Persad-Bissessar as a she-cat in Parliament, our nation's highest legislative chamber. This calculated, degrading, sexist comment reduced the first female opposition leader to an animal and sparked national and international condemnation. In Parliament, where decorum should be paramount, Dr. Rowley chose to demean a female colleague using language offensive to every woman in Trinidad and Tobago. Yet he now claims he never said anything nearly as offensive as what the Prime Minister has recently stated. This alone exposes the absurdity of his claims. 2. The golf course comparison. Women as recreational property. Dr. Rowley compared a woman to a golf course, suggesting that men play on them. This objectifying analogy reveals a disturbing worldview where women exist as objects for male entertainment. Such comments perpetuate a culture that enables violence against women and systematic marginalization. When Dr. Rowley made these statements, where was the accountability he now claims existed? The silence was deafening, demonstrating that offensive misogyny carried no political price for him. 3. The Calcutta ship racism, sanctioning ethnic division. At a PNM rally in Roxborough, Tobago, Mr. Hilton Sandy warned captivated crowds, "A Calcutta ship is coming down for you," demonizing the Indian population as Tobago's worst nightmare. This vile, ethnic fear-mongering was sanctioned by the presence of Dr. Keith Rowley himself, who stood by without rebuke or consequence. By his presence and silence, Dr. Rowley gave his blessing to one of the most racist statements in modern Trinidad and Tobago political discourse. In our multi-ethnic society, such rhetoric is dangerous, stoking resentment, legitimizing discrimination, and fracturing national unity. When a political leader allows such statements on his platform without condemnation, he becomes complicit in that racism.
Dr. Rowley's silence was itself an offensive act that violated the fundamental duty of leadership to represent all citizens.
4. The email gate fabrication, institutional destruction. The email gate scandal represents perhaps the most offensive assault on democratic institutions in our modern history. Dr. Rowley promoted fabricated documents designed to destroy reputations and undermine government. When proven fake, he offered no apology, no accountability, no recognition of damage caused. By spreading deliberate misinformation, he wasted public resources, damaged innocent reputations, and poisoned public discourse with lies that circulate years later. Yet he faced no consequences, eventually becoming Prime Minister himself. Where was this higher standard? The email gate fabrication was offensive to every citizen who deserves honesty from their leaders. 5. Systematic attacks on press freedom, silence and accountability.
Throughout his tenure as Prime Minister, Dr. Rowley consistently attacked journalists who questioned him, threatening media outlets and intimidating those whose job is to hold power accountable. This sustained assault on press freedom represents one of the most offensive abuses of democratic power. When a Prime Minister attacks the press, he attacks every citizen's right to know what their government is doing. Dr. Rowley's hostility created a chilling effect where reporters feared asking tough questions and media outlets self-censored. Compare this to Prime Minister Persad Bissessar, who consistently engages with media and respects journalism's role in democracy.
6. Parliamentary decorum, jackass, and other vulgarities. Dr. Rowley called fellow parliamentarians jackasses in the House of Representatives, degrading the sacred chamber where our laws are debated. This vulgar language corroded democratic norms and encouraged incivility throughout society. His parliamentary performances were regularly marked by outbursts and personal attacks that poisoned legislative proceedings. Yet we are supposed to believe he maintained high standards. The parliamentary record itself contradicts these claims.
7. Cabinet composition, institutionalized ethnic exclusion.
Dr. Rowley's cabinet selections consistently favored one ethnic group while systematically excluding others. Institutionalized discrimination at the highest levels. In our diverse nation, a cabinet that fails to reflect that diversity sends a clear message. Some citizens matter more than others. This systematic exclusion damaged national unity and denied qualified citizens opportunities simply because of their heritage. When communities see themselves excluded from government, it breeds resentment and alienation. Compare this to Prime Minister Persad Bissessar's governments, which consistently strive for ethnic balance and inclusive representation. 8. The OPV scandal, corruption and cover-up. The offshore patrol vessel scandal under Dr. Rowley's watch involved corruption allegations exceeding $2 billion, one of the largest procurement scandals in our history. His government refused transparency, blocked investigations, and obstructed oversight. This opacity in the face of massive corruption allegations is profoundly offensive to every citizen who pays taxes faithfully and expects honest stewardship of public resources. To mismanage billions while claiming moral superiority is obscene. Stealing or wasting public money is infinitely more offensive than any political statement. 9. COVID-19. Mismanagement, callousness in a crisis. During COVID-19, Dr. Rowley's government displayed offensive indifference to citizens' suffering. Delayed vaccine procurement cost lives. Inadequate economic support destroyed livelihoods. But what made it truly offensive was the callousness, dismissing legitimate concerns,
providing inadequate communication, and showing no accountability when people died preventable deaths. Families lost loved ones who might have survived with earlier vaccines. Business owners lost everything. Workers faced unemployment without adequate safety nets. Yet he claims he met high standards. Tell that to the families who lost loved ones. 10. Decades of divisive rhetoric, a career built on division.
Throughout his political career, Dr. Rowley has consistently employed divisive, inflammatory language designed to pit Trinidadians against each other along racial and ethnic lines. From veiled threats to apocalyptic predictions about UNC governance, from ethnic dog whistles to fear-mongering, his rhetoric has been offensive to the spirit of national unity. He has built a career on division, stoking fears, and suggesting different ethnic groups cannot trust each other. In a society where ethnic tensions simmer beneath the surface, political leaders have a sacred responsibility to be bridge builders, not dividers. Dr. Rowley has consistently chosen division because it delivers votes, knowing the damage it inflicts on our social fabric. The current context: deflection from real issues.
What makes Dr. Rowley's Facebook post particularly offensive is his transparent purpose: deflection. Rather than engaging substantively with the government's crime-fighting legislation, rather than offering constructive alternatives to address violent crime plaguing our nation, he retreats into manufactured victimhood and false moral outrage. His complaints about divisive politics are rich, coming from someone who has practiced divisive politics his entire career. His warnings about unsupervised authority ring hollow from someone who presided over unaccountable governance. His concern about stigmatizing communities would be touching if it weren't coming from someone who built his career stigmatizing the Indo-Trinidadian community.
Citizens face a genuine crime crisis and demand action. The government is attempting to respond with legislation. This deserves serious debate. Instead, Dr. Rowley offers fake outrage and transparent deflection, making the conversation about supposedly offensive statements rather than substantive crime-fighting measures. Amnesia, dementia, or deliberate dishonesty? Dr. Rowley's post forces an uncomfortable question. Is he suffering from genuine amnesia and dementia, unable to recall his documented statements? Or is this deliberate dishonesty a calculated attempt to rewrite history? Neither option is reassuring. My mother-in-law's wisdom rings true. A liar has no memory. Dr. Rowley apparently doesn't remember the she-cat, the golf course comparison, sanctioning the Calcutta ship rhetoric, the email-gate fabrication, the press attacks, the parliamentary vulgarity, the ethnic exclusion, the OPV scandal, the COVID-19 mismanagement, or the decades of divisive rhetoric. How convenient. But the people of Trinidad and Tobago remember. We remember because we lived through it. We remember because our democracy, our institutions, our social fabric still bear the scars. In conclusion, accountability demands truth. Dr. Rowley claims he was held to a higher standard and is proud of that fact. The actual facts tell a different story. He was held to virtually no standard, saying and doing offensive things repeatedly with minimal consequences. Prime Minister Persad Bissessa, by contrast, has been held to an impossibly high standard her entire career. Every word scrutinized, every decision questioned, every policy attacked not on merit, but because of who proposed it. The double standard is glaring. Dr. Rowley's attempt to claim victimhood is offensive to Prime Minister Persad Bissessa, who endured his sexist attacks with dignity. It's offensive to Indo-Trinidadians who endured his ethnic division. It's offensive to journalists he attacked. It's offensive to citizens who suffered from his government's corruption and incompetence. It's offensive to women who heard him reduce female leaders to animals and golf courses. It's offensive to truth itself. Dr. Keith Rowley's record of offensive statements and actions is extensive, documented, and undeniable. His latest Facebook post, attempting to rewrite that history, is perhaps his most offensive act yet. Not because of its content, but because of its brazen dishonesty. Will we allow former leaders to gaslight the nation, to rewrite history, to pretend their documented offenses never happened? Or will we hold them accountable by insisting on truth? I choose truth. I choose memory over amnesia. I choose facts over delusion. And I choose to remind Dr. Rowley that his record speaks for itself. And it's far more offensive than he wants us to remember.